under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Riverdale Regional's reorganization meeting, and I am Tom Bonfiglio, the business administrator / board secretary. The technical and practical part of this beginning of this meeting is the fact that there is no president or vice president, and we will get to that in a minute or two. To do some preliminary work, we need to do the results of the election that occurred back in November. If you recall, a few years ago, the Board of Education chose to go to a non-vote on the budget, which meant that the election process went from the candidates on the Board of Education from April to November, and which occurred back in November of 2014. With that being said, what occurred back in November for the Oradell Borough for the Riverdale Board of Education is that there was one lone seat and one lone member who applied for the candidacy. And the person was Mr. Al Graff, who got 861 votes. On the Riverhead side, there were 2 seats that were open and 2 people that put in petitions for the seats. And they were Mr. Barbary and Mr. Doug Kufar. Did I pronounce that correctly? Kupfer, excuse me, I apologize. Mr. Barbary received 801 votes, and Doug received 1,080. Okay? So those are the results of the election that occurred back in November of 2014. What's going to occur as soon as I get done speaking is that we're going to swear in those candidates, and we're going to move on with the proceeding for president and vice president. Okay? So with that being said and done, we're going to do this alphabetically and start with Mr. Barbary. Yeah, I know. You know how to, he's right there. I was going to put the X on the floor, but you know where it is. Put your right hand on there. Okay. Right hand up, right hand left down there. Please repeat after me. I, Anthony Barbary,
I, Anthony Barbary,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state,
and to this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I, Anthony Barbary,
I, Anthony Barbary,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of a member
for the office of a member
of a Board of Education,
of a Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully
impartially,
and impartially
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of that office
all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Next person up, Mr. Al Graff. Left hand, right hand up. I, Al Graff,
I, Al Graff,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New
of the
Jersey,
State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state
and to this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I, Al Graff,
I, Al Graff,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the
that
qualifications
I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office
for the office
of a member of a Board of Education,
of a member of a Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of that office
all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Doug? Repeat after me. I, Doug Kufer,
I, Doug Kupfer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and this state,
and this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people,
So help me God.
so help me God.
I, Doug Kupfer,
I, Doug Kupfer. It's okay.
do solemnly swear,
Do solemnly swear
oh, I apologize, that I possess
that I possess
the qualifications
the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office
for the office
of a member of a Board of Education,
of a member of the Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of that office
all the duties of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
That was, yeah. It's harder than taking my SATs. Okay. All right. We'll stick with Doug.
Yeah, we're good. Last names again.
Come on, we're switching back.
Yeah.
All right. With that being completed, Board Secretary will call for nominations of the office of Board President. Do we have any nominations for Board President?
I make a motion for Stephanie Hartman for board president.
I second.
Are there any other nominations? No?
Make a motion for Joe Manzelli for president.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. That being said, nominations are closed for Board President. Okay. Let's take the first vote on Ms. Hartman. Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
No.
Al?
No.
Doug?
Yes.
Anthony?
No.
Barbara?
No.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
No.
And Joe?
Yes.
Let's take vote on Mr. Manzelli. Claudia?
No.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
No.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
No.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe?
Abstain.
Okay, there are 5 yeses. 3 noes, 1 abstention. Four yeses. 5 noes. Okay, for board president is Mr. Manzelli. Okay. And at this time, the board president will call for nominations for vice president.
Do you have any, excuse me, any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Alan for vice president.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations?
Any other oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You just echoing, I guess.
Yeah.
And Tom, I guess we have to roll call on the vice president
Yes.
of Alan Feigenson.
Claudia?
No.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Abstain.
And Joe.
Yes.
Okay. For the calendar year forthcoming, the president will be Mr. Manzelli and vice president will be Mr. Feigenson.
Okay. So with that, Tom, and the rest of the board, I guess, we have, I believe, 26 or 27 resolutions. I think what we should do is do a couple of these together, but some of them one at a time, just to go through, or if you'd like to do each and every one of them one at a time. You want to consent the whole, I mean, that's,
Time to look at it, I mean.
We're permitted to do that.
yeah, no, I understand that, I just split out of timing of the
business out of
meeting and
the way.
whatnot. You guys okay with the consent on all these items? We don't have to take a vote on that, but just the kind of general consent? Okay, then can I have a motion for the acceptance of resolutions G 1 through 27 as stated? Claudia,
Second.
second by Alan. Any discussion on any of these items? I thought you did. All right, then, Tom, roll call, please, on the consent.
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug? Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe.
Yes. Okay. With that, are there any, is the opportunity now for any public questions or comments on the reorganization? Because in our regular meeting, you'll have an opportunity as well to comment. But this is an opportunity to make comments or questions on the reorganization agenda. Seeing as there are none, have a motion to,
Before you do that, Mr. Manzelli, I just want to point out for the board as well as for the public that we did, let me make sure I get the right resolution, approve in item 16 the school board member code of ethics, which is attached to the agenda. And while most of the board members have had training specifically on the ethics or the code of ethics, when Doug goes to his initial training, he will also receive that. But just please make note of it, because this is the bylaws that we're governed by in our actions as board members.
and with that, I believe everybody has signed, or they were in front of you. If you haven't signed them and given them to Tom, please do so by the end of the meeting.
It's an acknowledgement of the code of ethics, please.
So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so the reorg ends at 7:16. Yeah, well,
Nope, you can go right in.
we can go right into the
Yes,
public?
sir.
Even though it
We,
was,
we advertised it as following the
okay,
reorganization meeting.
so give me a second as, seeing as how we've already done the flag salute, Tom, we need a roll call, please, for the regular session. By first name, please.
I got it.
And this is coming from a guy called Bonfiglio, you know?
Claudia,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yeah.
Al,
Here.
Doug,
Here.
Tony,
Yeah.
Barbara,
Here.
Stephanie,
Here.
Alan,
Here.
Joe.
Here,
Kids on here.
No, I didn't see it.
Doug, would you do us the honors then, first meeting, reading the mission statement?
The mission of Riverdale Regional School District is to provide safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to reach his or her potential, to nurture each student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and others, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and in ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the Common Core standards and the New Jersey core curriculum content standards.
Thank you. And now, if there are any public comments on the agenda items only, there will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting as well, or before the end of the meeting, I should say, for comments on anything other than the agenda. Seeing as there are none, I think we'll skip the student member report since they're not here, because they probably figured the meeting to be started at 8 o'clock, so hopefully the meeting will still be going on by the time, if they come or not. Move right to the reports. President's report, I don't have a report because did not know what was going to happen this evening, so I don't have a report. Superintendent's report, Patrick?
Nothing to add. We had a very short period of time between our meetings. However, there was a long number of days because of the holiday break, so just welcome everyone back and wish everyone a happy, healthy New Year.
And I'm not sure, I don't know if we actually had any committee reports, but budget and finance, Tony, anything? I don't think we, no. Campus facilities? I don't believe so either. Patrick, community relations, nothing since last time either. Curriculum? Tri-district is right again.
District we have coming
Yep.
up on the 26th?
I think so.
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
In policy and governance.
There isn't.
And,
There-
yeah, and I would say with that is, because we've got some new members, and some changes, because I know Al, I don't believe was actually assigned last time, is if everybody could let me know which committees, because I don't think we should need to shuffle them all up. We definitely need to place some people, because Patty was on a couple of committees and all as well. Committees you'd like to be on or continue on, it'd be helpful so that we can go through the year 2015. So if you could get those to me and Patrick, that'd be great.
Joe, can I bring up
Sure.
the reports for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so we brought it up last year at reorg, and the majority of people felt committed to the reports and doing the reports again. Not the verbal, the written. And it hasn't happened I can't even remember the last time we saw. So either we need to do it, or we just need to get rid of we give the verbal reports, but people wanted the written, but the written is done very inconsistently, and I don't think the written's been done by any committee in the last 6 months. So,
I'm okay with just getting the verbal one in public, if that's where we want to go, but you know what, do we want to have them written? Because I know there was issues getting them off of the site. you know, to be able to pull the information and do that. 'Cause I
How
know,
is that embedded in policy or
What, yeah, I'm sorry.
the committee report?
In our policy, it says we will give a written report. Our policy says that, yeah.
Okay, so maybe the
Then-
policy committee could make that on their first meeting to look at that and then either
yeah,
move
because I
forward
know,
with
I
it
know
or not.
Claudia had trouble one time too. with the other- I just, I know, that's what I'm saying.
You don't have to be kind, I have trouble all the time.
Yeah. If we could find another mechanism then, or, if we could actually, I guess at the committee, whoever the committee heads are, then too, is if we could at least provide, paper, so that we can then scan it in. It'd be helpful, because I know, like you said, we have it available online, but it's been troublesome. So we think we should definitely look at that in policy.
Okay.
How we actually effectuate getting those written reports, because it is policy. So either we gotta change the policy or find a way to make sure it happens.
Right.
So.
Are you gonna include the addendum and the consent? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you a question, Patrick, because we have an addendum to the agenda. It was included out front. Every one of these items is marked, I believe, as, it would be part of the consent agenda, because they're asterisks.
Correct.
So, with that, can I have a motion on the consent agenda, including the items that were added to the addendum?
So moved.
Alan? We have a second?
Actually, I'm sorry. Oh, can I pull something?
Since we don't have a second, yeah, so you know what? Stephanie, how about we have discussion on
That's
the item, and then we can choose whether to, okay. Al, you seconded, or Patrick? Okay, discussion on those items, so,
7A3, no, sorry, 7A2. I just wanted to pull it for a separate vote since it's a new sport for a new separate position for the girls golf coach. And it came with a nice backup from Mr. Nelson talking about the increase in the female population of the student body wanting to participate in golf, and now there being enough to participate in a varsity level. So I just wanted it to have its
we have a vote?
own vote.
would you like to make a motion to pull that as a
I
separate?
will make a motion to pull 7A2.
Have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, Tom, a roll call quickly on the item 7A2 being a non-consent.
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al? Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes. So with that, is there any other discussion on the consent agenda items? I just wanted to point out, it was brought, item number on the addendum, 8.1, that the cost is just for the transportation to and from. That's what we were told. So it wasn't included in the backup, that's what we were notified of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good?
I'm doing a little out of order.
Okay.
But 7B, 7B 1 to 5. The majority of this represents a lot of hours and time and effort and a lot of things going on by our staff for a really long time. So I'm actually going to make another motion to pull that from consent as well.
1 through 4, you mean?
1 through 4, yes.
7B, 1 to 4, pulled. Can I have a second on pull, excuse me, okay, Claudia. Tom, can I have a roll call on moving 7B, 1 through 4 to be non-consent?
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yeah.
And Joe?
Yes. See, now I'm gonna try to make sure I keep
I
everything
have
in
to work for
order.
me and Patty now. It's really getting hard.
Now, are
Okay.
there any other discussions on any of the
So far-
consent right now?
So far, I'm good now.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Just make sure I can do everything back in order again, that's
Yes.
the important part. So with that then, Tom, give a roll call on the consent agenda items?
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe.
Yes. Which then brings us to item Roman numeral 7A2. It is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the creation of the position of head girls golf coach for the spring 2015 athletic season. A motion?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Since we pulled this, Stephanie, anything you want to add to it, other than we
I think
can?
it's pretty exciting, and the competition is within a lot of our neighboring districts, so that's nice to see that, you know, I mean, obviously, they're gonna go to a golf course, but, you know, that it's within our community and they're not, you know, it's not schools from far away that they're gonna be competing with. So I think it's a great opportunity for the student body.
Well, I think it's great because it's going to be a varsity sport that's also a lifelong sport, so something that our students can, well, I guess our female students can participate in the rest of their lives, so I think it's great.
Well, just to be clear, our female athletes have been able to play golf, but there's just enough now to have its own league, which is why
Right.
we're splitting it off. Unlike hockey per se, where our female athletes play on a hockey team, and it's a co-ed team that plays. So we've had a co-ed team for a long time. It's just that now the population has risen to the point where we can support two separate competitions.
Right. Tom, with that, can I have a roll call on item 7, Roman numeral 7A2?
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe.
Yes. And with that, then, we move to Roman numeral 7B, 1 through 4. I want to say as stated, but actually I'd like to make sure I mention each of these have to do with retirements of various personnel. Teacher of French, Barbara Broomall, effective July 1st, 2015. Teacher of English, Catherine Franzino, June 30th, 2015. Head custodian, Victor Schoenfeld, June 30th, 2015. And teacher of English, Kathleen Voorhees, June 30th, 2015. Is when their retirements would be effective. So can I have a motion on those items?
Make a motion.
Stephanie, seconded by
Second.
Alan. Oh, sorry, Claudia. But, and we will have, these are with regret, but I do know at the end of the year, we've had other retirements as well. We will be honoring these people as well as others who are retiring from the Riverdale community. Many of these people with numerous years of service to the district, so this is with regret. It's something we have to do, though, in regards to the policy of recognizing this. So, Tom, roll call on item Roman numeral 7B, 1 through 4.
Claudia?
Yes, and I wish you all the best, and I'm jealous that I'm not retired.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes, and thank you.
Alan?
Yes, and thank you for your service.
And Joe.
Again, with regrets, but yes. Which brings us to Roman numeral 9-1. It is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the second reading of the following policies from the Series 6000 and 7000 series. Make a,
7,000, didn't we move that? Naming rights, last meeting?
We had the first reading discussion on the two competing policies
Correct.
and voted to go with this one as our recommendation.
Okay.
Joe,
yep,
may I suggest for consideration that we vote on the 6,000 separately from the 7,000? Since it might be differing differing opinions. This was
Okay.
just a thought.
With that then, Anthony, would you like to make a motion to separate Roman numeral 9-1 into two separate, similar to polling it, is make a motion to separate out the two?
Yes, I make a motion to separate the 6,000 from the 7,000 for the board to consider each as a separate entity.
Have a second on that?
Second.
Oh, second by Stephanie, to break that out. Can I get a roll call on the motion on the floor to separate 9-1 to, let's say, A and B, Series 6,000 being A, Series 7,000 being B?
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes. Okay, with that, then, we do have I consider the initial motion for the 9-1, for the 6,000 series. We had a motion and a second.
No, we didn't.
Well, no, we didn't. Okay, then, can I get a motion on item number 9-1A on the 6,000 series?
Motion.
And a second by Claudia? Okay. Yeah, and with this being a second reading, if there's anything that the public would like to discuss on this, you have your opportunity now on this. Seeing as there are none, any other items, Stephanie?
Yeah, and I didn't really notice it before. So on 6142.4, we changed, that's the health education.
Right.
Yeah, okay. We changed dating violence to sexual violence,
Yep.
except that it's not changed completely throughout the document.
That was nice.
Okay, so that was it. So it's struck out each time, but it's not, the right word isn't either inserted back in there or like in the first sentence, it still says dating violence and,
Got it.
okay, thank you.
So Tom, can I do a roll call on Roman numeral 9-1A, I guess?
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Doug? Tony?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes. I have a motion on Roman numeral 9-1B, the 7,000, so 70, policy 7250 on naming rights.
So moved.
Can I just get some clarification, because I did see the graduation requirement change. I did not see the Series 7,000. Which of the two did we end up?
Not no naming. No naming rights.
Okay.
So Anthony, with that, did you have any discussion on that? Since I know you wanted to split it out too, just give you the opportunity, or?
Just to briefly reiterate, I was nay on that, considering that we are a public entity. And to put it in perspective, I look at the whole matter as a front door of a home, of a structure, versus a screen door, where you have a due process and you can consider something. So I personally would be for naming rights with the screen door, to put it in perspective.
So yeah, with that, is there anybody in the public, have any public comments on the naming rights? What we're voting on is, the policy states that basically there will be no opportunity for naming rights to any of the property in the district. We did have two policies at our last meeting that we decided that we were going to figure out which one to come forward. One of them, as Mr. Barbary said, is pretty much there is no naming rights. The other one was, went through a process that took a while to actually carefully craft that wording. And the board chose to go with this one, that there are no naming rights at this point. So if there's anybody who wants to make a comment, you can. If not, with that then, Tom, we have the roll call on Roman numeral 9-1B. B.
Claudia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Al?
No.
Doug?
Yes.
Tony?
No.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Alan?
No.
And Joe?
Yes. With that, there's no more, so brings us to Roman numeral 11. Items for, well, 11, 12, and 13. Items for board discussion.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick.
We had it as, I apologize, I was confused. We did the regulations as consent. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I had a note on my vote, on my
Okay,
agenda, my apology.
yeah, no problem.
So we're right where you said we were.
Thank you. Thank you. So items for board discussion. Any old business, new business?
I got no business.
Alan?
I don't know if anybody read it in the paper, but there were two proposals on the slate for River Edge for the council, where the Toyota dealership used to be. More recently, New Jersey Decorators. You know, they built. There's, pardon me. Right. There's a proposal to build a 230-unit apartment complex there, as well as on Kindercamack Road, at the bottom of, I think it's Howland Avenue, that's stretch there. There's a proposal for, I believe, 75 townhouses to go up. Nobody's, you know, I read both articles and nothing really came up on what the impact would be on the school system. Now, when Hackensack built the Avalon 2 years ago, everybody said it wouldn't have an impact on the school system in Hackensack, but more recently, during the summer, there was a big article that it had a tremendous impact on the Hackensack school system. So I don't know if we want to send a representative to the council meeting, but I think the schools should be represented in some way.
I do as well, because I know, I've actually been to River Edge board meetings and all, and they've talked about that before, what the impact would be. I did not read that article, that's why,
Well, here,
because it was the one that came out on Christmas, that's why.
right.
Well, both articles kind of dabble in talking about, you know, the schools, either somebody on the council or somebody else bringing up about the schools.
Right.
The one,
But the general
the one on the
consensus usually is
Kindercamack,
that
right.
it's an apartment house,
Right.
commuters go there, but
The one on
That's-
Kindercamack kind of delved into it a little bit more, that
Right.
article, you know, talking about ways to restrict it. It's a smaller unit. They were talking more about gearing it towards maybe seniors who no longer, you know, can either afford or want to be in their homes. But this one is this one, there will be no way to control that. That's a huge unit, you know.
Do you know when they're voting on that, or?
no.
Doesn't say.
It was the first presentation.
Because I know we've actually had attempts where actually both towns before have had liaisons. And unfortunately, I believe their meetings, I know in River Edge.
the same time
the
as
same
our
same
meetings.
meetings, exactly.
If I recall, within that article, the builder or developer was looking to modify it, or several modifications made. And this final one, I think, would include 1 2-bedroom and senior citizens. And if I recall, I could be wrong, that new proposal will then have to go to the zoning planning board for new consideration. I think that's where it may be. So I don't think much action yet, if any, has occurred.
But it is something we need to look at, and all too, is how it's going to possibly affect us. My personal opinion is I think it would affect the elementary district quicker than us, because if it's apartments and all too, usually it's younger families, either younger families or older people as well. So I think those younger families would have, obviously, younger children, so it's definitely something we need to pay attention to. So, Mind if I take a look at that, that's the letter?
You
That's,
can have it.
any other old, new business? Al?
The presentation we had a couple of months ago from Al, strategic planning. We've just kind of let that stall. I know we had a paper proposal from Sosa and Stern. We have to make a determination whether or not we're going forward with the strategic plan. And then if we are, we probably need to have the second group come in for a presentation, perhaps?
I think part of it was making sure that too, because once with the election and all too, was making sure we went forward, we had the full board. And when I say the full board, new member, making sure you guys were there, so, we could discuss it now, or definitely put it on the next agenda to talk further, of what we actually want to do with the strategic plan. Because I think one of the things that Al brought up with the strategic plan is there's the full version and there's that light version. I think it probably would be helpful, Patrick, at least to have, I know we had the paper proposal, to have those folks in as well.
Well, now that we have a meeting scheduled, we can put somebody in. I'll
Okay.
contact them and
If
see
we
when
could
they're
do that
available.
sooner than
Sure.
later, because
Sure.
it is a process. It takes a while.
Sure.
And then we need to determine again as a board whether we want to go to the, as they said, I hate to say it, the light version and the long version, but
Yep.
that's kind of what I got out of it.
almost steered us to the light version. Did he not? I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it would be the light version from the state versus,
Right, what this group is gonna.
exactly.
or
Or
not at all.
scrap it.
Just again, further discussion on, because again, the strategic plan involves many factors as well, so. But if we could definitely get that considered for the
Oh.
next meeting.
I'll contact them and see when they're available for the next
Okay.
meetings.
Okay. Trying to think. I don't have anything else, other than I do know we have a meeting scheduled on, what, the 20th?
Yes.
Okay. And now, at this point, before, anybody? At this point, if there are any public comments on anything else, please come to the microphone, identify yourself, and if there are any public comments? Oh, sure.
My name is Lisa Devakis. I'm sad to say this is my first Board of Ed meeting. But as my son is a senior, Christian Devakis, and as he gets ready to graduate this year, I'm sad. I mean, I have so much gratitude to his teachers, to this school, to the administrative staff. They have all been wonderful. Actually, we moved here when my son was entering 4th grade. And he had previously gone, we lived in Bergenfield. And when he graduated kindergarten, I thought this is not the school for him. So we moved to Ridgefield. And he went to Ridgefield from 1st grade to 3rd grade. The school building itself had leaks all over. There were always garbage cans in the lunch area. It was a gym, it wasn't a lunchroom. Buckets catching the water. They had things like art and computers and music on a cart. So the teachers would actually walk to the classrooms, and that's how they had to have their special programs done. The last straw was when he was in, he had a 504, and I saw that the teachers had no expectations for him. They really just sort of let him go along. And he was doing what they expected of him, which didn't make me happy because I was getting all this private help for him. And I knew what the private people were telling me and how smart he was. So what I decided, which was very scary, I decided in 3rd grade that we were going to make a leap from this school system that had a great program for special ed, kids who needed occupational therapy, speech and language, those types of things. But when we had our last parent meeting, they said, well, Mr. and Mrs. Devakis, if he grows up to be a mechanic, that's okay. Maybe he won't go to college, but maybe a mechanic. I said, we got to get out of here. So I spoke with the two principals that I had known, and we made the leap to Oradell. And it wasn't easy. He was going into 4th grade, but he had a saint of a teacher, Mrs. O'Keefe, who took him under her wing and was marvelous with him at OPS. And then he had Mr. Duthie in 5th grade. He was another wonderful teacher, and my son just blossomed. When he got to the high school, of course, we had concerns, like every parent, what's going to happen in high school. Now, on top of this, guys, my son wants to be an opera singer. In my day, in my school, he would have been pummeled. Okay? I grew up in Palisades Park. He would have been pummeled because football was the thing. Here, he felt so safe, so happy. Your music program is wonderful. What it has done for him, I can't say. However, his teachers are what made him what he's going to be. He wants to go on to study opera singing. He wants to be an opera singer professionally, although he could do anything he wants. He's a straight A student. He's probably got one of the highest GPAs in the school. He could do whatever he wants, and that is because, not because this building is gorgeous and it has great technology and it's a great school and there's no rain coming down through the ceiling. That's all wonderful, but it's his teachers. These teachers, I can't thank you enough. I feel like my husband and I and his teachers raised him. They prepared him now to go into the world. When I tell you, I am so thankful. He has Ivy League colleges reaching out to him. He could go anywhere he wants, basically. He would love to end up at Juilliard and go to Columbia at the same time. They have a program together. It would not be possible without his excellent teachers. And as he gets ready to graduate, I owe it to his teachers to speak to you, because I know they haven't gotten raises in 2 years. And I don't care that I won't have I have one son. I won't have a son in high school anymore. I want these teachers to be compensated, not only for what they did for my son, but for what they're going to do for future kids. They deserve to be treated. I have friends who live in Tenafly. I have a cousin who's a teacher. I have friends in Park Ridge, Wyckoff, New Milford, Glen Rock. Those teachers are compensated. Ridgewood is another town. I have another friend in Ridgewood. Their teachers are compensated. They're not even close. When I tell them what Christian's teachers do for him, come in early, stay late. He has a tutor. Just because my son wants to get not an A, he wants to always get 100% or more. Okay? That's because, not because of me. I tell him, do good in school, give your best, that's all I could ask you. But his teachers here motivate him, and they set the bar high, and he goes for it. That wouldn't have been possible in Ridgefield or Bergenfield. I can tell you, I was very involved in both school systems. That's why I left. And I would hate to see teachers like Mrs. J, Mr. Hallstatter. I see some of Christian's old teachers, counselors like Patty Barlow, who calmed me the heck down when I was freaking out in the end of 11th grade and the beginning of 12th grade, and sort of took us through the process, because I only have one kid. So it's like, one time I want to do it right. She's been wonderful. Mrs. Brooks, wonderful. I know, she herself sets the bar high, and these teachers meet or exceed it, and it just kills me. I don't understand, why aren't they getting their raises? It doesn't make sense to me when I've come from much worse school systems where the teachers didn't care. And I have friends all over. I'm a medical sales rep. I see doctors all day long. I have lots and lots of friends all over. When I tell them what the teachers do here for my son and how great this school system is, they can't believe it. And this is from towns like Ridgewood and Wyckoff and Park Ridge. So it seems to me this is a building of excellence. You have wonderful equipment, a wonderful building. I have no complaints. However, why don't we want to keep our teachers of excellence? We have them. Why risk losing them or possibly not attract good, talented young people like Mr. Sook? He's wonderful. My son Christian has him for calculus, this honors calculus. He's wonderful. I hope you'll keep attracting teachers like that. And frankly speaking, for the people who don't want to pay the extra taxes, which really, is it going to kill you, whatever it's going to work out to be, don't live here. Go to a town like Lodi or Little Ferry. Go live there where your taxes aren't going to be quite as high. They'll still be high. It's Bergen County. Go live in another town. That's going to be my choice. When my son graduates, if there comes a time when I feel the school is taking too much of my tax money, I have the choice to leave. But I want Oradell to stay a wonderful town, the town that it is. I have doctors asking me every day, where do you live? I say, Oradell, the school system's fantastic. And they actually move here. So I want to be able to say that. And just so you know, if my son ever makes it big, Christian Devakis, he already told me he's coming back and he's putting in a whole new high-tech auditorium. And if Miss Smith, so that's what they've done for him. He wants to keep giving back. This will be he's very proud of this school, and he loves his teachers, and he'll always be loyal to this school and their teachers, just so you know. So thanks for listening. I hope you can work it out. I really do. They deserve it. They really, truly, truly do.
And I thank you for your comments, and just so you know too, we do have another negotiation meeting going through the process on January 20th. And it's, again, negotiations, there's two sides. We continue to go through the process, and we too want to get to a resolution. So thank you for your comments. Well,
I just wanted to make a comment.
please identify yourself.
Sure. My name's Julia Orlando. I have a sophomore, Anthony, and I have a 7th grader, Christopher. And I just wanted to speak in support of the teachers. So much of their success is due to the support that they have as teachers, especially in extra support when they need it. I think you don't see a lot of teachers, a lot of parents here tonight, as much as I think would be here, because they're very professional. They don't complain to the kids. You know, the kids don't feel the impact of the situation that they have at hand. And I think that's a real testament to who these teachers are. I run the county's homeless shelter. I see every day the impact when we don't care about our kids or we don't get up and speak for them. And it's a tragedy every day that I see and I feel and I can't fix. So if I have the opportunity to get up and say how wonderful the teachers are, how grateful I am to live in a town where the education is so really important and vital, I just wanted to take that opportunity. So thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Mike Gardner, Ordell. I have two students in the district, one in 11th grade, one in 8th grade. I spoke at the last board meeting, and now I've done just a little research on different contracts. If you look at different districts that we're compared to, like Alpine, they just settled in the last 2 years, 3.5% average. You have Bergenfield, 2.5% in the last 3 years. You have two board members that are connected to Bergenfield. One's a teacher, one, I believe, the husband's a superintendent. Reach out to these individuals and find out what morale was like. They settled January of 2014. They've gone a year now that they've had a contract. Reach out to them and find out what is morale like. I talk to parents. They say morale is going through the roof now. They're very happy. We have recent rankings for our high school that were in the top 50. I was on the board when our ranking came back one year. I believe it was in the 90s. Mr. Fletcher, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong. People weren't happy with that ranking. Now we're in the top 50. Everybody, I'm sure, is happy again. Of course, we want to be in the top 10, but top 50 is pretty good. And the idea is, who do we owe for this? The administration? They work hard, but you know what? We owe that to the teachers. But the idea is you have a number of districts that have settled in the last 2 years all above 2.3%. What are we waiting for? You say negotiations are scheduled. Nothing stops you from calling up the president and saying, you know what? Let's meet next week. Let's settle. Let's put this to bed. Mr. Fikinson, when you ran for the school board, you were quoted in a NorthJersey.com as saying, I think we're going through very challenging times right now, Fikinson said. I think every year is going to get tougher and tougher as far as budgets go, and I think you have to be very creative to deal with that and not cut teachers' salary or cut programs or eliminate teachers. That doesn't solve the problems. You know what? I agree with you for once. We haven't always agreed. I agree with that. And you know what? It's time to settle these contracts, put this to bed, and let's take care of our students. Thank you.
Short. Hi, my name's Lauren Spooner. I am in a unique position in terms of negotiations in that I am on both sides of the table. I am a Riverdale High School teacher. I am also a Oradell resident, 259 Prospect Avenue, in case anyone wants to egg my house, that's fine. I would just like to say that the negotiations have been going on for way too long. It's a little bit ridiculous. We're supposed to be on the same team. As a teacher, I want the kids to do well. I come in early, I stay late, I give extra help, I work through lunch, I work at home on the weekends, I prep during vacations because I care about the kids. I don't have a kid here. I have 100 some odd kids here, and I love them all, and I try to take care of them as best I can. And everybody who lives in this town has the same goal. You want your kids to be successful. You want them to be loved and taken care of. You want them helped when they need help. You want them pushed when they get lazy. We should all be working towards the same goal. And then the teachers union is proposing something that, as he mentioned, is comparable to other districts that we're being compared to, and somehow we can't get this done? I don't understand that from either side. Please, 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 find a way, get it done. We're already gonna have to negotiate next year, even if you settle today. So where does that leave us? If you just keep going, keep negotiating at this plodding pace, and we get to next year, what's going to happen? What are we going to lose? We really need to find a way. Thank you.
Vertically challenged. My name is Mary Sapaglia. I am a science teacher here at Riverdale, and I also am a community member. And it's all about it takes a village. And it's not always just about the money. I didn't come here for the money. I had a part-time, half-day teaching job. I came here for $8,000, full-time. We don't pay the most, but I love my job. I love my kids. This is what we do. We're dedicated. So signing a contract, bye, sweetheart. Signing a contract is more than money. It's a little bit of respect, okay? And what I've seen in the 14 years that I'm here is I've lost colleagues. to higher paying districts right in my neighborhood. And I live here. And I've seen 4 teachers go for a lot more money to districts right in my neighborhood. And they were good teachers. And I've seen it hard to get another science teacher. We had one who took the job, got an offer somewhere else, and left. I live here. I don't like to see my school being treated this way. I don't like my kids to be treated this way. So, what am I going to say? Let's settle, shall we? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ori from Oradell. I have 2 former students, Elon and Karen, and 1 present student, Ornit. And I want to say that the teacher of Riverdale here did a wonderful job with my 2 kids that are now in college, and they are top students in college. And my wife and I are business owners, and we do negotiate with our employees about conditions, about benefits, about salaries. And I understand that in each negotiation there's the first thing that you have to look at is always the financial part of it, how much you make and how much you can give out. And that's why I understand the difficulties that the Board of Education is having in finalizing the contracts, because if you had all the money in the world, you could give it. Obviously, you have to manage that budget, and I respect that. I do respect the teachers that are doing their job despite the fact that they don't have the contract, and they still doing wonderful job, and they helping my daughter Ornit, even though she's sometimes having difficulties. But here's what I do not respect. I do not, as an employer, I do not respect that the teachers here are displaying the workplace dispute, that I call it, by posting signs all over and exposing the students to what I call a workplace dispute. A few minutes ago, I heard the mission statement from the gentleman, and in that mission statement, the mission here is to educate the kids and also sort of protect them. And I understand that educating them means that they have to be educated in a balanced way. Therefore, they cannot be exposed to one side of the coin, which is the teacher side. They also need to know why there is no contract. They cannot just see the teachers taking the workplace dispute into the classroom and make a statement with the signs, whether it's on the outside on the cars or whether it's inside the classroom. I understand that it may be legal, but I don't think it's proper. Right now, my daughter got hired at a store on Route 17, and she works there without a contract. And she doesn't go out in the store with a sign, hey, I work here, no contract, still working. It is fine for you to display these signs to me, the parents, the taxpayer. Go ahead, do that. But in front of the students, it is wrong. And when I opened my mouth and I said my opinion to a teacher, she went to the Oradell police and complained about me that she feels threatened by me, and that's wrong. So I came here to voice my opinion about the fact that a workplace dispute is being displayed to the student in a one-sided display. And the second thing, that it was very wrong to call the Oradell police about me when I exercised my right as a citizen, my First Amendment right, to voice my opinion about taking the workplace dispute into the classroom. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys reach some kind of a compromise that will benefit good employees or good teachers. As an employer, I know how important it is to keep good employees and good teachers in here, and I want to thank again for the teachers for doing a great job, and I want to thank you for not rushing into a contract, but weighing all the options and coming up with the best solution. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Sarah Teresa Bartoloni. I am a River Edge resident. I'm a teacher here at the high school and middle school, and I am also an alumni. So I wanted to speak actually tonight just to one issue, but I'm going to bring up another one because I heard you discuss it. Please don't take potential extra housing lightly. And the only reason that I'm saying that, because yes, there could be an impact on our elementary districts first, but we're separate from them. And this kind of ties into my story. I came here as a high school student. My parents moved to River Edge because my father was a Riverdale graduate, and my aunts and my uncles. They all were proud River Edge graduates, Riverdale. My aunt, in fact, the first Riverdale graduate in class. So growing up, I heard the stories of all the teachers and everything. And then when my parents moved here, I had some of those teachers. And it was true. My parents were very committed to bringing me here, and it was not easy. My parents had to sell 2 houses to be able to afford a tiny little house, but to be able to move here so that I could benefit from the school district. They were very adamant about that being the case. So my family moved here. My brother, he was younger. He got to go through the elementary, middle, and high school and graduate that way. But when I did move here, it was hard because I was a junior. But the teachers that I had, and some of them are still here, were so helpful and so wonderful. And they made that transition, which would have been terrible for most juniors, very easy. And it was really an excellent choice my parents made, although I was not happy at the time. When my husband and I got married, we decided to move to River Edge. We were first renting in New Milford. We looked at several towns, and we ended up coming to River Edge. And we've had not 1, not 2, but 3 houses in River Edge at this point. We've moved around, and every time we've stayed here. And it's because now, as a teacher here, I really firmly believe that the experience that my father had, which was being proud to be a Riverdale graduate and really having that path of a good education and what came from that, and then him making sure that happened to me and my brother, that was there for us, I really firmly believed that my kids deserve that too. So I am tying my first comment in, please don't take extra housing lightly, because yes, we need to, as a high school, remember that people will come to benefit from graduating from Riverdale, not Cherry Hill, not OPS. Well, that's not River Edge, but not Roosevelt School, Riverdale High School. That's the truth. That's what my parents wanted for me, and that's why I was moved as a junior. Now, as a teacher here, I'm frustrated because I know, I understand negotiations, and I understand, Mr. Manzelli, you just said it, there's a process. But this process started with our negotiating team and your team led by your attorney. I'm married to an attorney. I love him. But I also know he comes with a billable hour. I also know that to a certain extent, attorneys may want, I don't know what the benefit is for them seeing a process come to an end quickly. They'll let you talk through them as long as you like. Now, that's not to say that their intentions are bad. I like to think that my husband has great intentions all the time. But I don't know that their intentions are completely in good faith. I'd like to know that we all came to the table and went through this process evenly, But I'd also like to know, as a resident, as a teacher who's extremely proud to be on this side now of what I experienced as a student, that we're coming together and we're really moving forward. Not just because there's a process and we're following it, now we're in fact finding, and we went through this and we went through that, but because we really want to move forward. And I'm nervous that this process could continue again. That next year, and even if we got an extra extension, that we would be back in this process. It's not a comforting place. So I just want to please, I really am encouraging you, and let's settle this and move forward. And I'm speaking as a parent of a future Riverdale student to many people who have had Riverdale students or will, and that this is a great group. And I'm really, really proud to be here with them. So thank you for your time. Good night.
Okay, hey, guys, come sit down. Because we're at the spot of the meeting. We're at the spot of the meeting, unless there's any other public comments. That I know you guys expected the meeting to start at 8. It started earlier, so if we can conclude the meeting after some more public comments with your report, okay? So, please.
Hi, Brian Clapp. I've been teaching at Riverdale for 21 years now. That's almost half my life. It's been like a family to me. I spend so much time here. I don't remember a contract ever taking more than a year to solve. And that's over 21 years. And I don't remember a contract before that took this long to solve. I would love it if the board members sat down with our negotiating team. They took advantage of Mr. Fletcher's knowledge, his skills, to make a deal and get this thing done. I feel disrespected, undervalued. I feel demoralized. And anybody want to raise their hand if they feel the same way? It's getting really hard to walk into that classroom every day. Thank you.
Hi, Sharon Demaray, Amaryllis Avenue, Oradell. I'm here tonight as a resident, as a taxpayer, but really as a parent of 3 children who have either graduated from Riverdale or are still enrolled. While I am part of this group dedicated to excellence, I stand here tonight and I just want to thank this group. So I brought some notes and I'm going to rattle through them. Okay. You know, I just heard more names mentioned who was retiring, and it makes you think. People go through your life, do for your children, and you never say thank you. So here's my thanks. Mrs. Sue Carney, thank you for preparing my children for the SAT that I never had to pay a dime for. The essays that you help our children with, the letters of recommendations. Is Sue here? So, my oldest son goes to one of the highest ranked writing colleges. And when he was a freshman, he was being challenged by something by a professor. And he said, "Can I reach out to Mrs. Carney? She taught me something about this." And I don't know if you know this, but you didn't just answer back. You sent an entire package of your lesson. And that's what you do. So thank you. Thank you for my children. Kier, you're here. My kids aren't going to Columbia, and they're not going to sing in the opera, and they struggle with math. And I met Kier. I mean, a lot of high school teachers don't even know who I am because I'm the parent who sends their kids to school, and I say, figure out what is expected of you, do it, and I'm not getting involved. So some of you are kind of like, who is she? Not sure, because I'm at the middle school. But Kier offered something to us at back to school night, and he said, I'm here for extra help. Morning, lunch, after school. You don't need to pay anybody to tutor your child for SATs. I'm here for that. Why would you pay somebody else? You've got me for free. And I thank you for that, Kier. The Demarays have never spent a dime on SAT prep, tutoring, nothing, because we have it right here. This is what they do, beyond the restrictions of their contract. The extra help is amazing. Dr. Chu, not sure if you're here, you are. Hi, Doc. Thank you for your letters of recommendations, for insisting that my daughter, who didn't think she was a science student, you saw something in her that I didn't, and you insisted that her senior year she would be in honors science. Not her freshman year, she didn't go through the honors program, but her senior year. She is most likely going to major in science because of you, Doc, so thank you for that. Mrs. Wilcoxon, your letters of recommendation for my daughter to go to college. And I think a lot of parents think those things just happen, that we're supposed to do that teachers are supposed to do that. And that's not how it works. It's a request, and teachers don't have to do that. But the heartfelt and the personalized letters of recommendations that so many of you have written to my children, I only have 3, it just amazes me the time that goes into that. And for you to encourage her to be a part of the Foreign Language Honor Society. I didn't know she was that good. She had the cord around her at graduation, everything to prove it. Mrs. Vanderbilt, not sure if Chris is here, but my daughter was applied for an honors program at college, and her essay was to discuss the place where you're most at peace in the world. She's a reputable county volleyball player. She didn't say the volleyball court. She didn't say with her friends. She didn't say with her family. She said at the potter's wheel. She's not very artistic. But she somehow, Chris, and like Chris, many other teachers, figure out how to get kids who aren't phenomenal students, who are to be passionate about something that they're passionate about. I mean, when I tell you, my kids are home for college and it's time for them to go back, but we sat the other day and we talked about things like this. And Colette broke out that essay that she wrote. And in that, there was a quote, and she said, "Teachers are the true Picassos of my community." Again, not an artistic kid. Coach Nympheus and Flanagan. I'm thinking DJ's not here. Hi, Brandon. My son played football and baseball. Sophomore year, my oldest son's grandfather passed away during the holidays. We're down here at Voc, my dad's funeral. I'm not a teacher at this time. DJ would rather not say hello to any parent if he could. And on this 2-hour-long, at least 2 hours, very well-respected man, who shows up at this funeral not during school hours, during their holiday break? Brandon Flanagan and his baseball coaching staff, and DJ and his football staff. Not to see me, not to see my husband, not to get out of school, but because they had a student athlete who was devastated. And that they had a connection with this boy and wanted to make sure that he understood that they could appreciate the relationship he shared with his grandfather, because it revolved around football and baseball. Brandon, I remember once we were coming home from a baseball game, and we stopped at another funeral home because one of the baseball players' grandfather died. It's not about the Demarets, not about us. My husband and I run into the funeral home in Ridgewood. Come on, let's go. It's quick. Get in, get out. Turn around. An entire school bus of JV and varsity baseball players was walking in uniform. They took their cleats off, but they walked into a funeral home. Out of respect for a baseball player. Brandon, I'm sure, wanted to get home to his family, but he just extended his day yet another hour. Those are the coaches that we have here. Those are the teachers that we have. Dawn Rivas, don't know if Dawn's here. Dawn saw something in my oldest son that I tried to squash growing up. Apparently he's a county debater, and I just growing up would always tell him, all right, I win, okay? I get the last word and I win. And Dawn had him in class, and she encourages, she saw this, and he came home and he said, Mrs. Rivas wants me to debate. I'm like, oh no, you do not need any encouragement with that. So he goes on a bike ride, and Dawn at that time had moved from River Edge to Oradell and lives around the block from me. And Rook's not back. Where is he? So he comes back maybe an hour later, and I don't know if Dawn remembers this. I said, where were you? I was talking to Mrs. Rivas. Where? At her house, on the front porch. Like, what are you doing? Don't do that. He says, no, it was okay. And what she did was, you know, she saw a student, happened to be a neighbor. But again, we weren't friends at the time. This wasn't a friend that we hung out with. And he said, you know, I wanted to ask you about this debate. And they sat and they talked. And I don't know if it was his freshman year or sophomore year, but he was on the debate team. And him and John Tamino, I just told him that Mrs. Brooks took down, finally, all of the trophies in the main office, and he was a little annoyed. But Dawn saw something and took the time out of her family time, out of her day, out of her Saturday. He just stopped over there because that's what these teachers do. Diane Furusawa. My daughter had hip surgery and couldn't play volleyball her senior year, and Diane knew that. Diane went on vacation down, I think, the Outer Banks, called 3 times to check on her athlete, her student athlete. Not because she wanted to know if she was going to play this fall, because we knew that that wasn't going to happen, but because Diane, like many others, treat their students as if they're their own. Lori Dunn, I don't know if Lori's here, hosts lunch in her classroom every day to my son and about 10 of his friends, and I don't know why. Why would you dedicate your lunchtime to these sophomore boys who are loud, finally have grown out of Axe, and I don't know what they're wearing now, and she engages with them, and she sometimes is working on what she has to do, and she's counselor, and she's part mother, and she's giving extra help, and even if they're not in her class. And I asked Garrett, is it because there's no place for you to sit at lunch because it's so crowded? And he said, no, even if we could get a table, we'd still go in Mrs. Dunn's room. So Lori, thank you for hosting. I think Anthony's in there too. I don't know why you do it, but God bless you. Mr. Coleman, I don't know if you're here and I don't know if you remember, but we had a phone call. My daughter was recommended for an honors history, and I didn't think she should be in honors. Maybe I'm not like a lot of parents. I don't know, but and I emailed you, and I said, hey, if you get a chance, could you give me a call? And he did, and it was way after school hours, and we were on the phone, because I can talk, case you haven't noticed, and he can talk. And it must have lasted an hour. And he basically told me, like, pretty much, how dare you hold your kid back? Like, let this kid go. Like, she's pretty amazing. So to Mr. Coleman, thank you for that. Thank you for seeing something in my daughter that I didn't get. And finally, Mrs. Jacobus, you have a cult-like following of chem students, and I don't know if you know it. But just recently I went to visit my daughter at college and her friend, and I took them out to eat, and your name comes up yet again and again and again. I hope someday people will reflect on me as an educator like I have been able to do for you. And I'm just looking up and I see Heather is here, Heather Walker. And I tell Heather this every year at back to school night. You didn't teach my son, you instilled in my oldest son the love of reading. And he says it every time. He ran into you at a concert and told you the same thing. That I didn't know which was more offensive, but anyway, you just, he was a smart little kid in elementary school, but he didn't love to read. And she told him, I promise you, I'm going to teach you the love of reading. All you have to do is find an author that you connect with, that style of writing that you get, and book after book after book that she would present to him until finally it clicked. And this is a kid who's now 22, hoping we're getting a job soon, and he loves to read. And there's always a book out. And not only does he read, but he leaves the book out for us to all read, because apparently we do that, and we all have to read the book, and we all have to have book talks, and we have to share, because that's what Lori taught him back in middle school. So thank you for that, because that is a gift unlike any other gift. So I thank you for that. The endless hours of extra help. Again, parents just assume, well, you're going to give my kid extra help. The endless hours. So I'm talking with the kids the other day around the table because they're back from school, and I threw this out to them. I'm going to rattle off just a short list. All right, it's a long list. I want you to know my children are very well cared for and healthy. However, 3 children in the last 10 years, a broken foot, a cracked kneecap, shoulder surgery, 2 broken arms, 2 arm surgeries, back surgery, hip surgery, a peanut allergy reaction that resulted in an ER visit, endoscopy procedure, a ruptured ovarian cyst, and oh yes, who can forget the swine flu? That's not to even mention all the bronchitis and the strep throat and the ear infections and all of that. But somehow my children didn't fall behind in their schoolwork. It's not because their father and I sat them down at the table and got them caught up. It's not because they're such self-driven young students. It's because of you. And I can't figure out how you did it. I know how I got through that. I was introduced to wine, and that's how I got through that list of injuries. But I don't know how you did it for 3 Desmarais children, and that's one family. So thank you for the endless hours. Thank you for free tutoring, free counseling, the class trips that you take them on, because I know what it's like to be on a bus full of middle school students. Thank you. Because I know those days are so long. There's no prep period during those days. Those trips go beyond the school hours. The preparation for those class trips is endless. And thank you, because as a mom, I have asked you not only to teach my children, but to keep your eyes and your ears open to their mental, their social, their emotional well-being. As every parent here has done the same. So My apologies for not thanking you sooner. And as I hear these names of people who are retiring, it's scaring me that I'm not going to get that chance. So being that you're all kind of corralled here, I wanted to do that. I only have one left, 2.5 years left with all of you. Let's hope it's injury-free. And from the bottom of my heart, it's a privilege to be dedicated to excellence with you all.
Good evening. I'm Bernadette Beanie. I've taught for 13 years here at Riverdale, and this is my third, I think, negotiations. It's beginning to sort of feel like 3 times 3 in the process. But all throughout the evening, I've heard our Riverdale teachers speak, and through the past several meetings, the process has been referred to. You know, we're going through the process. We want a fair settlement. I think it's time, high time, that you consider prioritizing the process. And the priority needs to be these people and the people that they're dedicated to. So I hope that we can settle by January 20th and continue with our process of being an excellent school district with staff that are motivated and happy to come to work every day and to continue their dedication. I think that's the next step in this process. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Liberto Stuber. I am a former Riverdale graduate. Today actually marks my 10 years working here for Riverdale. I plan on having my kids come to Riverdale, even though I don't live in district. I would gladly pay the tuition. I have 2 small kids at home. We're all on the same team. We all have the same goals. I spend more time with my family here at Riverdale than with my kids at home. I don't treat family like this. Let's settle. Let's get it done. We're good teachers. We care about the kids. Let's just get it done. Let's do the right thing.
Hi, my name is Casey D'Elia. I'm a Riverdale graduate, and I've been teaching here for the last 4 years. I am not a resident, sadly, although I did grow up in River Edge for the first 22 years of my life. And I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but I decided to make my voice heard, specifically when we talk about providing a safe and welcoming experience for our students. And I just want to speak about my personal experience. Now, I lost my father when I was very young, and it was very hard for my mother to keep us in River Edge. However, because of the school system, we did just that. I can't tell you, or I'm sure that you guys can understand that it's a little difficult growing up without a father. And the reason that I made it through was not just because of the efforts of my mother, but because of some of the teachers that are still here. I'm not going to name names because I think that that would be a little too pandering. But I will say that they made it a lot easier to get through the difficult time that is adolescence. And that's the reason that I became a teacher. Because if I can get through this and I can make at least one kid have a day that's slightly better than what they were going to have, I've done my job. And I know that that's what everyone behind me sets out to do. Whether or not they say it out loud or they just think it, each person here is dedicated to creating the most welcoming environment that they can possibly make for these students, in addition to teaching. I just thought it best to bring that up because we have plaques out there that speak to our scores. We have plaques out there that speak to the fact that our kids are doing great work. But not every kid is going to come home and say, "Ma, today was a little easier to get through." Or, "I was having a really bad day, but one of my teachers took the time to ask me how I was doing." I just want to bring that up. Thank you very much for giving me a moment to speak.
kind of out of order and all too, but if you wouldn't mind providing us with your report, just to.
The latest issue of the Rebellion was released last week before break. Junior prom will be held on January 24th at the Rockland Country Club, and the National English Honor Society had boxes of books from the book drive.
Also on December 18th before break was the band and choral concert, which was held at night. The freshman-sophomore snowball dance is this Friday, and the track team is going to head up to Dartmouth this week for a meet on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, so then for RDTV, who many of the members are in this room, they had the winter special the Tuesday before break. Just wanted to bring that up. And then there was a ski trip this past Sunday to Hunter Mountain, and that concludes the student portion. Okay.
Again, just give anybody else the last opportunity. Any public comments? I don't know if any. No? With that, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion?
Second?
Second.
Alan, all in favor? Aye.